All right, so if you are retaking the 6.RP.3C standard, this is the video you need to watch in order to be able to retake this. So there are no notes that you need to take unless you would like to do the problems with me as I go through them. So I've got one of each type of problem. So this should be a review, so I'm just going to real quick go over it as far as how to set it up. If you want to do that along with me with some scratch paper, feel free to pause this video and go get that, okay? All right, let's get started with this first one. So remember, one of the basic parts that we want to keep coming back to is our proportion here, where we've got percent over 100 equals part over whole. We use the part over whole one when we're talking about a real world problem. We'll talk about the other proportion when we get to those percent phrases. So the first problem here says Fred VanVleet is a point guard for the Toronto Raptors. His 3-point field goal percentage is 36% for this year. If he took a total of 25 3-point field goal shots in last week's games, how many did he make based on his percentage? So right away you should be thinking in your head, there's a percent, so that automatically goes over 100. So I'm going to put 36 over 100 because it's the percent. Then I need to figure out if this 25 is the part or the whole. So because it says if he took a total of 25, I know that's the whole. So this is how my my proportion should look. I've got the percent over 100, and then I've got blank over 25, and I'm looking for the part because the 25 is the total, the whole, so that goes on the bottom. So now it's just a proportion problem that we've been working with over and over and over again. And so I'm going to look across first, and I notice going from 100 down to 25, I'm dividing by 4. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the top. I'm going to do 36 divided by 4. Okay, doing the exact same thing from the bottom to the top. So when I do that, I end up with 9. But we need to label this, so it's not just 9. We want to look back at the questions, and it's talking about how many did he make. So that's how many shots did he make. So I'm going to word it as 9 3-point shots he made. I know it's a little bit long of a label, but you want to make sure that you use that so you know exactly what your answer means. Okay? And if you need to go back and take another look, feel free to rewind the video and go back and rewatch something. But otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next one. So another real world problem. So again, we're using percent over 100 equals part over whole. So we've got 60% of the offensive players on the ISU Redbirds football team are seniors. If 12 offensive players are seniors, how many offensive players are on the team? So again, I see a percent, so right away I'm putting that over 100. That should be just a given. If it's a percent, it always goes over 100. So now I need to look at 12 and decide, is it the part or the whole? And when I look at this, it says if 12 offensive players are seniors. So that matches with the 60% of offensive players on the football team are seniors. So I know that 12 and 60 need to go across from each other, and that's the part. That's just who the seniors for the offensive players are. We're looking for how many offensive players on the team, which is the whole. So here's what my setup should look like. I've got 60 over 100 because that's the percent over 100. 12's the part, so it goes on top. So again, I always start looking across because that's typically what we do, and then we look up and down if needed. And I know to get from 60 down to 12, I am dividing by 5. So I'm going to divide 100 by 5 to get 20. Okay, and then I end up with 20 offensive players. And I just got that from going back at the question and seeing how many offensive players, so that's my label there. Okay, let's look at one more real world problem. So we've got at the Kingsley Junior High girls basketball game, the concession stand has 28 candy bars. If 7 of them are Snickers, what percentage of candy bars are Snickers? Again, using percent over 100 equals part of a whole. Now this time when I read through the problem, I do not see a percent sign, so that must mean I need blank over 100. So I'm just going to put blank over 100. And now I need to determine if the 28 or the 7 is the part versus the whole. So if it says that it has 28 candy bars, 7 of them are Snickers. 7 is the part, the top part, because those are only the Snickers candy bars. The 28 candy bars is how many they have of those of candy bars in general, and so that's the whole. So here's my proportion setup. Blank over 100 because we don't know the percent. That's what they're asking for, what percentage. And 7 is the Snickers, the part. 28 is the candy bars. So I'm looking across and I do not see a connection between 28 and 100. So I'm going to look up and down and I see that 7 times, or I guess I could work backwards. 28 divided by 4 gives me 7. You can always think of it the other way around. But I divided because I don't know this top number. So I'm going to work backwards and do 100 divided by 4 gives me 25. So my label for this one is 25%, and then you can also include our Snickers, but you need that percent sign because the answer was over 100. Okay? Couple more we're going to look at. This time we're looking at the percent phrases, and so instead of using part over whole, we're going to use is over of, looking at those key words. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've got 18 is 90% of what number? Well, I see a percent, so I'm instantly going to put that over 100, and then I notice it says 18 is, so that's going to go on top in that is spot. So I've got 90 over 100 equals 18 over nothing. And so I'm going to look across first. And this one I did have to do just a little thinking on, and maybe even use a multiplication chart or some other strategies to see how many times it would fit in, but it does fit in 5 times, so 90 divided by 5 gives me 18. Remember, you can always do those strategies of working the problem off to the side if you're not sure, doing a guess and checking, or taking it and dividing it, lots of options. So 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. So that would be my answer. Make sure you circle or rewrite that. Okay, kind of makes sense too. 90% is fairly high, so our number up here should be fairly close to our number down here. You can kind of see how it's similar. Okay, let's look at the next one. We've got 17% of 200 is blank. So 17%, put it over 100, and then it says of 200, so it's going to go on the bottom. And then we've got a blank on top. So 17 over 100 equals blank over 200, because we don't know the is. That's the part we're trying to find. So looking across, I know I can get from 100 to 200 pretty easily by times 2. So I do the same thing to the top, and you can write it off to the side if you need to. But that ends up giving me 34. So either write it in the blank or circle it when you're doing these problems. All right, last one we're going to look at. This one says, what percent of 25 is 16? So this time I don't know the percent, and I don't see a percent sign with these numbers. So I know I'm going to put blank over 100. And then if I look, it says of 25, so that goes on the bottom, and then is 16, so it goes on top. So I have blank over 100 equals 16 over 25. Looking across, I notice that 25 times 4 gives me 100. So 16 times 4, if you need to do that off to the side, feel free, gives me 64. And make sure you write 64% when you're writing your answer, because this one was over 100, so we do want that percent. Okay, make sure you've done your corrections for the standard. If you need to do work for the other standard because you're retaking both, go ahead. If not, then make sure you get your stuff turned in to your teacher so that they can approve you for that retake. Good luck, you got this.